Most Americans rarely think about U.S. military bases overseas, like the one on Diego Garcia. Since the end of World War II and the early days of the Cold War, when the United States built or acquired most of its overseas bases, Americans have considered it normal to have U.S. military installations in other countries on other people's land. The presence of our bases overseas has long been accepted unquestioningly and treated as an obvious good, essential to national security and global peace. Perhaps these bases register in our consciousness when there's an anti-base protest in Okinawa or an accident in Germany. Quickly, however, they're forgotten. While there are no freestanding bases on U.S. soil today, there are around 800 U.S. bases in foreign countries occupied by hundreds of thousands of U.S. troops. And I should speak to what Bradley raised. The count of 800 actually comes from the Pentagon's annual accounting of bases overseas. So by the Pentagon's count, there are 686 base sites outside the 50 states and Washington, D.C. But their count excludes many well-known bases like those in Kuwait, as well as secretive bases like those in Saudi Arabia and Israel. So by my best accounting conducted over the past 14 years, and especially over the past 6 when I've been working on this book, 800 is a reasonable estimate. Although the United States has long had some bases in foreign lands, the massive global deployment was unknown in U.S. history before World War II. Now, 70 years after that war, there are 174 bases in Germany, 113 in Japan, and 83 in South Korea. There are hundreds more dotting the planet in Aruba in Australia, Bahrain in Bulgaria, Colombia, Kenya, and Qatar, just to name a few. Worldwide, we have bases in more than 70 countries, as Bradley explained. Although few U.S. citizens realize it, we probably have more bases in other people's lands than any other people, nation, or empire in world history. And yet the subject is barely discussed in the media. Rarely does anyone ask whether we need hundreds of bases overseas or whether we can afford them. Rarely does anyone consider how we would feel with a foreign base on U.S. soil, or how we would react if China, Russia, or Iran built even a single base somewhere near our borders today. For most in the United States, the idea of even the nicest, most benign foreign troops arriving with their tanks, planes, and high-powered weaponry and making themselves at home in our country is basically unthinkable.